we're going to talk about another battle since we're in a battle. And this is lore. And this is still our British Men of Letters season. And so we're going to talk about our final installment of the Golden Dawn. And this is about the Battle of Blythe Road, which is an infamous, to some of the know, magical battle between Aleister Crowley and William Butler Yeats, which happened at the Golden Dawn headquarters in London at the turn of the 20th century. And there are many versions, but this is my favorite from a Richard Ellman article in Variety. Upset over his denial of acceptance into the Second Order, Aleister Crowley went to Paris, where MacGregor Mathers initiated him into the Second Order. Crowley then went back to London, where he showed up at the Isis-Ureta Temple in a Highlander's tartan, a Black Crusader's cross on his chest, a dirk, a Scottish dagger, a jaunty bonnet, and a skiing duel, which is another Scottish dagger tucked into his socks. Crowley made the sign of the pentacle inverted and climbed the stairs while shouting menaces. At the top of the stairs, William Butler Yeats and two others were waiting, and when Crowley got in reach, Yeats kicked him down the stairs. As amazing as that is, it's not entirely accurate and it is missing a little bit of context. So let's back it up a little bit. So the Golden Dawn was already having internal struggles when a 25-year-old Aleister Crowley first graced them with his beastly presence. Scott had left because he was afraid of getting outed and fired from his day job as a coroner. Florence Farr, who was running the London Temple, had created a secret society within the order called the Sphere, causing some members to fear excluded. So basically, this is a secret society, and somebody decided they needed a secret society within the secret society so they could exclude certain people from it. So of course, this is very much you can't sit with us. So MacGregor Mathers and his wife Moyna had already moved to Paris. So Crowley joined the Golden Dawn in 1889 and took the name Perturabo. I'm not saying that, but it translates to he who will endure. And he quickly went through all the First Order material because he's a big old magical nerd. And he was gung-ho to enter the Second Order when the group said no. Yeats said he was too unstable and too much of a delinquent. Crowley had already been blacklisted from the Trades Protection Association for debt, so it's possible that is one of the reasons. Or it could have been his promiscuity, or his drug use, or his homosexuality, although those were not foreign behaviors to many of the Golden Dawn members. It could also have meant to be an affront to Mathers, who was friends with Crowley, or maybe they just didn't like him. So again, another, you can't sit with us. I'm here, I'm ready to join your magical order. And they're like, we don't want you. Soon after this, Mathers is in Paris, right? And he's reading the meeting minutes from the London Temple meetings. So they're having meetings. So what are they saying about me? And he reads that they think that they should close the temple down. And he gets really upset about this. And Crowley goes to find Mathers in Paris because he's pissed about not being initiated into the Second Order. So Mathers goes ahead and initiates him in Paris. And so he also just did this probably to piss the folks off back in London, right? Because they wanted to shut the place down. So he was like, fuck you, I'm initiating this guy. This is also the time when Mathers drops that whole bombshell that Westcott had faked the founding documents from Anna Springle, and the time he was getting conned by Anna Distabar. She was there, Madame Goro, so that's happening right now too. Farr writes to Westcott, who denied the charges of the forgery, but couldn't produce any living witnesses to his story. Farr told Mathers that she would resign after he accused her of plotting with Westcott because she was just talking to him. So he's like, oh, you must be plotting together, right? And then Mathers is, you're fired. And then the London group was like, no, you're expelled from the order. So Crowley went to meet up with Mathers. So he's in Paris and they're going to bring the London order to heel. And they decide they're going to do this. So Crowley's going to return to London with a list of new chiefs for the Isis temple. And that would be the 5 people who were still loyal to Mathers. You didn't want to kick him out. Crowley had instructions to seize the premises of the order and the vault of the adepts. Each adept would then be interviewed and determined whether or not they would be readmitted to the temple. He also had magical instructions on how to conduct the interviews so that they were successful. He had magical signs and symbols to create and write over so he could get the right answers out of people. And he also had to be very careful to avoid Anna Distabar and her lover, who were in London at the time, with stolen documents of the culted dog. So Crowley gets back to London. At first, he just demands the documents that are now owed to him since he was initiated, but he was denied. And they said, we do not recognize your Paris initiation. And according to Crowley's diary, the London crew also put a curse on him. His rubber Macintosh, his raincoat, burst into flames, and he kept losing his temper for no reason. He also said at least 5 times horses bolted at the sight of him. Yeah, clearly cursed. Other bad luck included a hansom cab caught on fire, a fireplace that wouldn't light, and nightmares that the Horroses were coming after him.
Huh.
On April 17th, 1900, Crowley came to the current headquarters of the Golden Dawn, which was over a shop, with one of the members, Elaine Sensen, and he talked the landlord into letting him in, signed his name to the scroll for the second order members. Like all the people who were initiated into this had the special scroll they would put their name and their motto on. So he just went and added his name and his motto to it. And like, I was here. And his motto was Christios Lucifatius, which let there be light or brightness, but it looks like Lucifer, which is probably why he chose it. He also had the balls to have the locks changed.
Oh.
Yeah, so one of the members, Maud Cracknell, shows up. She sends a telegram to Edmund Hunter, another member, who arrives, followed by Florence Farr, who called the police, who just requested that Crowley leave, and he did. So then Crowley returns 2 days later on April 19th, and this time he really was dressed like a Highlander. So he's got this black mask over his face. He was going to have this pub bouncer accompany him, but the guy got lost on the way there. So
he was going to have private security with him?
Yeah, he was going to have an extra person. It was a Tucker outer, but the guy couldn't find his way to Blythe Road. So Crowley goes through the shop, because you have to go through a shop to get upstairs to where the headquarters are. And so he just bursts his way through, and that's where Yeats and Edmund Hunter come to meet him and just told him he was not welcome. He was not kicked down the stairs, unfortunately. The landlord sent for a constable, who again told Crowley to leave, which he did, saying, I'm going to get a lawyer. The bouncer showed up a couple of hours later with a letter, and he was just bewildered about what the hell was going on and why it was so hard to find this place. And he just had no idea. And they were like, we're sorry you're here. Bye. So meanwhile, in Paris, Mathers, who was still like upset about everything that's happening in London, took a large packet of dried peas, and he baptized each of them in the name of his London opponents. Then, while shaking the peas in a sieve, he evoked Beelzebub and Typhon Set, ordering them to wreak havoc and cause drama. I don't know if that really happened, but I really hope it did. I just love this idea of a man dressed in some weird outfit, shaking it through the peas. Dry peas, and being like, oh, come on, Beelzebub. Oh, what people do. So on April 21st, Mathers was expelled from the Golden Dawn by the London Temple officially. This is considered by many to be the end of the original Golden Dawn. On April 26th, there was an actual court case in which Crowley accused Farr of unlawfully and without just cause detaining certain papers and other articles. Florence won, and Crowley had to pay $5 in court costs. Then the order found out that Crowley had extorted money from one of his mistresses, likely the previously mentioned Elaine Simpson, and they decided to magically solve the problem. They met her on the astral plane and convinced her to go to Scotland Yard to present evidence of Crowley's crimes against nature. Not sure what came of that one, because Crowley had already gone back to Paris, and then he went on to New York for adventures there. The Horus trial did happen in 1901, so that happened after this. We did lore a little bit out of order, but I think that's fine. So the trial happened in 1901, which made the Golden Dawn look bad. Florence Farr would resign in 1902. The order changed its name to the Hermetic Society of the Morgan Ruth. It's really catchy.
Super succinct, yeah. Catchy.
Eventually, Mathers would rename the branch of the Golden Dawn, he still was on his side, to the Rosicrucian Order of Alpha Omega. He and Crowley would stop being friends, and there were some accusations of slander and theft. Crowley would publish a bunch of Golden Dawn stuff in the Equinox in 1909, which Mathers would sue Crowley over the publication of that. And he would win that case, but just not a lot of money. So, yeah, and that's how
Went on principle, but not funds.
yeah. And the Golden Dawn still exists today. There was a revival and things were brought back up, but the original order this is the original order. Thank you for going on the Golden Dawn journey this season.